and sometimes that doesn't happen. So this morning I do have special guest visiting me. Little honey dog is in the office. She is currently sitting on a chair looking outside the window, so she's not interested in me at all. But I'll get her back on camera one of these days. And then, as usual, we are setting up to make sure that I can follow you on Facebook. So again, today is February 3rd. Believe it or not, I can't believe January is already over. February is upon us, and it is Black History Month. So it's a time to honor, reflect, and celebrate the contributions of Black Americans in Illinois and across the country. So we've had many leaders, civil rights leaders, political leaders, cultural pioneers, music, literature, business. And we talked a little bit about this on Martin Luther King Day, that Illinois has a deep and rich Black history. So I know folks talk about, and I know that there was a memo that came out that said that the federal government's no longer honoring things like Black History Month, Women's History Month, Pride Month, and those kind of aspects. And I think it's a little misguided because I mean, Black History Month is just a month to look at and to spotlight important things in our history. So it certainly isn't anything, in my opinion, of a negative. It's a positive to talk about all the good things that people do in our country and good things that people contribute to here in Illinois. You might not know, might know, during the early 20th century, thousands of Black families moved from the South to cities like Chicago, looking for new opportunities. This is called the Great Migration, and Chicago's impact on this. And it actually formed Illinois. We have a lot of Black culture, activism, economic growth. Those of you who are in the area up here, Ida B. Wells, we just named the street after a journalist and civil rights leader who fought against lynching and for women's suffrage. She helped co-found the NAACP and left a lasting legacy in Chicago. Jean Bastille Point du Sable, actually founder of Chicago, Haitian-French trader who established a permanent settlement along the Chicago River in the late 1700s. Of course, Harold Washington. I was a kid, and my grandparents lived on 56th and Pulaski, and I remember them watching the television talking about Harold Washington and voting for Harold Washington. First Black mayor of Chicago, elected in 1983, championed civil rights, affordable housing, and government transparency. And then Gwendolyn Brooks, first Black woman to win a Pulitzer Prize, a celebrated poet who highlighted the Black experience in Chicago through her powerful writing. So think about things on how you can celebrate Black History Month. Look for a local event. There are things going on in Aurora, Oswego, Kane County, local libraries, historical society, Black-owned businesses, restaurants to bookstores. In fact, right here in Aurora, spotlighted business from the state of Illinois is Miss Janice Candy. Now, those of you that are trying to recoup from the holidays and have a couple pounds to shed, don't worry, you can still have a little bit moderation, right? If you don't know about Miss Janice candies, you are missing out. Amazing, amazing candies right here in Aurora. Find out other Black-owned businesses, and then just make sure that we honor history. And this month we are honoring Illinois' Black history. So take initiative, find a new thing, learn a new fact. Always good. So Groundhog Day. I said I had a groundhog mug. I was looking for it this morning. I don't have it. I do have this fox mug, which, the foxes are going to be hibernating a little bit more too. Pucks Swanee Phil says 6 more weeks of winter. Now, today is like 40 degrees. I don't know what variation of winter he is talking about. There's the winter of my childhood. The winter of my childhood meant that you brought out the winter coat about the end of September, and you didn't put the winter coat away until the beginning of March. Every single day was snow. Every single day was winter coat weather. Now, our winters today is a little bit different than they were of my childhood, with 35, 40-degree weathers, snow, not snow, 2-degree, negative degree. It's very sporadic, for lack of a better word. And so I'm not really sure what definition that the groundhog was talking about, but 6 more weeks of winter, at least according to the Pennsylvania groundhog. So it was acknowledged by Governor Josh Shapiro there on social media. Believe it or not, here in Illinois, it's a little bit brighter. We have our own groundhog. Woodstock Willie, the beloved groundhog of Woodstock, Illinois. He did not see a shadow on Sunday, signaling an early spring. So whether we know it or not, whichever Pennsylvania or Illinois winter or spring, we have conflicting messages from the groundhogs. So believe it or not, you might know this, Woodstock, Illinois gained national recognition as the filming location for the 1993 classic Groundhog Day, starring Bill Murray. And every year the town celebrates with a festival honoring the film. And if you were not around, the Paramount did do an adaptation of Groundhog Day. That's where I got the mug from. And certainly that was a great job as well. Speaking of the Paramount, they just released their next season, so you got to check it out. The Broadway series is going to start launching soon. Oh, so my visitor returns. So come here, honey. We're gonna give a little preview. Come on, come on up. Okay, you can jump up. Okay, there you go. Ready? Oh, here she is. You haven't seen Honey in a while on the Facebook Live. Say hello. So she is visiting today. Can you say hello? No, she just wants to lick my face. So, all right. Thank you. Happy to see you too. So Honey is visiting today. She's the we call her the grand pup. And she likes to visit once in a while. Sabrina actually is going back to school at NIU. So I'm doing a little pup sitting today. So she joins us. And it's been a while, actually, since she's joined us on Facebook Live. It's she used to be a regular cameo, but today she's just visiting for the day. So tomorrow, off to Springfield, so I won't see her for the rest of the week. So now, what is going on? You know what's going on. The NFL Pro Bowl games is a weekend of skill competition. So if you didn't see that, it was on February 2nd. So it was quite a fun time looking at all sorts of unique skill tests and competitions. I thought it was a really fun time, along with a flag football showdown. So, but certainly gearing up for Super Bowl, and hope you guys have a great time planning whatever you do on Super Bowl Sunday, staying at home, doing nothing, going out with friends, going to your favorite location, restaurant, all good. And then I talked about this last week, talking about it again. NASCAR season is kicking off this weekend. Races leading up to the Daytona 500. NASCAR again is opening up ticket sales for this year in Chicago, but the 2025 NASCAR season launched this weekend, and so it's a fun time. I've seen the race in Chicago, which is really fun. And then the closest I've come is back in the day, my dad used to take us to Speedway. So that was always a lot of fun. And then mark your calendars, February 5th, Illinois Wear Red Day. This is the initiative of the American Heart Association. Heart disease is the #1 killer in America. And so wear red on February 5th. For the American Heart Association, and just to let you know about heart health. And so it's not just a medical issue. It affects a lot of families, health issues. It could be hereditary. So February 5th, again, we observe Wear Red Day. We do wear red in the Capitol. And heart disease remains the #1 killer of our friends, neighbors, and loved ones. Healthcare workers perform miracles every day. Prevention and awareness is our strongest weapon in this fight. And just make sure that you check in with your doctor. Eat healthy food. I know it's hard. Trust me, there are so many good sweets around, but eat healthy food, have preventative care, and make sure that you are doing things in a heart healthy way, getting a little bit of exercise. So certainly we can all come together with regards to this. So today is National Women's Physician Day. How they celebrates Elizabeth Blackwell's birthday, the first female medical doctor in the United States. Today is National Carrot Cake Day. Today is National Golden Retriever Day, and Today is Elmo's birthday from Sesame Street. Turns 3.5 years old today, and every day is Elmo's birthday. A couple updates in case you're not up with the news. The 2025 Aurora Special Session has been postponed due to federal level pause affecting all census activities. Now, normal times you could do a special census, and when I was an alderman, we did do a special census because federal money comes from a formula that is based on population. And as you recall, Aurora undercounted their population by about 18,000 individuals. In fact, it was widely known that the whole state of Illinois was undercounted about 250,000 people. So the last census, because of COVID and certain circumstances, it didn't go well. Now, the city of Aurora is saying if we lost 18,000 residents, we would have had a lot of um, water shutoffs, and they didn't. So they pretty much have an idea of their population based on, the fact that every dwelling unit has water and water meters and usage of water, and along with other situations. So they were going to do a special census. Now, a special census is when the town or village or city pay extra to actually go out and recount. Now, back in the day, they used to just be able to recount certain areas that they thought was a bit undercounted. Now, under rules today, they have to count the whole city all over again. And so they applied for that, they got approval for that. And they were going to do a special census to recount those 18,000 or maybe even more individuals that moved into the state, the city and the state. Now, the state gets funding for census population as well from the federal government. The city gets funding from the federal government based on population, but they also get funding from the state based on population as well. So this population number is important nationwide on the state level and statewide on the local level. Unfortunately, along with many things in the federal government that we are still trying to figure out, for lack of a better word, census activities nationwide has stopped. So certainly they are working closely with federal officials to ensure a fair and accurate count when census activities resume. We don't know when they're going to resume. Advocate Healthcare is closing their clinics inside of Walgreens. Now, if you're used to going to a clinic inside of Walgreens, there are 47 urgent care clinics inside Illinois Walgreens affecting Aurora and other locations. Check with the Advocate Health for alternative options, but they have announced that they're closing their clinics. And then April 1st, certainly there's going to be a lot on the ballot, and just wanting you to be very mindful and do your homework and find out who's on the April ballot. Now, there is a primary in certain areas in February, but there is a referendums and there are individuals for elections. So certainly do your due diligence. There are town halls all over the place. There is a town hall with regards to a Kane County Board referendum March 3rd at the Santori Library here in Aurora, but certainly do your due diligence when it comes to what's going to be on the ballot. There is an election in February. There's a primary in certain areas, not in all areas, but there is an election in April as well. So. And then the King County Fair Board is offering 3,000 scholarships for 4-H high school seniors to attend college. Go to kingcountyfair.com/4H-information for that. Application are due April 1st. So, and then this has been talked about a little bit. Federal funding. Now, so there was an executive order, and the way government works is the executive branch can do executive orders. The governor has done executive orders. The checks and balances in the state, the General Assembly, in the United States, the Congress, and the Supreme Court. So there was an executive order that blocked pretty much all federal fundings, and this includes funding for what we call SNAP, supplemental nutrition programs, Medicaid, Medicare, a lot of programs on the federal level that the state, as I've told you before, the state is a pass-through. We pass through a lot of funding from the federal government to individuals to help administer these programs. All those were frozen, and in fact, the state could not access the federal computer system to make payments to organizations and to individuals that rely on this funding. Attorney General Kwame Raoul and 22 other state attorney generals went to the court system. That's the checks and balance here. Went to the court system and argued that freezing thousands of government programs, just stop funding it, was unconstitutional and illegal. And that it was frozen by the federal government. The executive order was frozen, which meant that that executive order could not go into effect. Funding resumed. There is, a separation. So Congress is the one that is, just like on the state, Congress is the one that's in charge of where the dollars go and the spending of the money. The executive branch, just like here, the governor is in charge of making sure that that gets done and making sure that the money gets sent out to where it's supposed to go. The executive branch on the national level is the same way. The president is supposed to make sure it goes. So it really is a violation of the separation of powers, along with a lot of other things, for a president to just say, "But we're not spending all that money. We're not spending all that money." The rules congressionally are a little bit stricter than the rules on the state. If the governor needs to pull back on some of the funding on the state level, they can. They just can't zero fund it. Then you can get sued. And we did get sued under the Ron administration. He zero funded out a lot of programs, and we got sued, and state had to pay. So there is a process for that. And then also on the federal level, the current administration is wanting nearly 3 million federal employees to resign by February 6th. This will just affect thousands of federal workers across agencies like the VA, Social Security offices, the federal courts. It will pretty much almost grind federal government to a halt. I mean, maybe that's apparently what this administration would want to do. And certainly the federal government and the state government works in tandem, and 3 million federal employees just walking out at one time. Number one, it's almost impossible to hire that many people right away. And people with experience. I know that a lot of people have negative views of the government. I understand that, but government does provide services for individuals, such as Social Security office, such as our veterans that have to go back and forth. Healthcare, the federal healthcare system, Heinz, VA, just a lot. And so we don't really know what to expect with regards to that, but we're trying the best we can to open channels of communication with the federal agencies and to see what's going to be impacted on the state level. This doesn't just affect Illinois. This affects every single state in the nation. So certainly we're going to be trying to keep track of what's going on the federal level and trying to do our best with regards to these ever-changing changes on the national level with the current administration. One of the things that we look at is that comes across my desk is companies that have negotiation with labor, and Costco and the Teamsters actually have a union, a Teamsters union in Costco, and they reached an agreement avoiding a strike and disrupting the stores. So certainly we're very happy when people can agree on things as well. Mark your calendars for February 19th. Governor Pritzker is going to deliver the budget and the State of the State address. We combined them during COVID, and it worked out well, a little bit more efficiently. So certainly, the annual address outlines Illinois' financial outlook, policy, and economic goals. Of course, the executive branch proposes the government, the legislative branch rewrites it most of the time. So, but working together, certainly we can do that. And then we are in Springfield this week. I've told you this before, and bears repeating. You can check on what's going on in ilga.gov. Not quite a very user-friendly website, but you can check things out or subscribe to my email. We will tell you what's going on, so you don't have to go online for that. ildistrict84.com. Certainly giving you that. And then just transitioning a little bit to the national level, because I know this seems to be national, is supposed to be a legislative update from Illinois, but a lot of national stuff going on. We don't know what these tariffs are going to do. So another executive order came down, 25% tariff on Mexican and most Canadian goods entering the U.S., 10% tariff on Canadian energy products and Chinese imports. Canada and Mexico have threatened retaliatory tariffs. China is looking at taking legal action. So don't really know what's going to happen with regards to that. That is certainly something that we again need to look for in the upcoming. Prices are going to go up, we believe, and certainly people need to look into those situations with regards to price of goods, price of services, how we can help out on the state level with regards to those situations. A couple things that we are looking at with regards to other things nationally, as another executive order came down pausing foreign aid. Certainly, I understand that Illinois, the United States, need to make sure we align our goals. But as we saw with COVID, things that happen in other countries can come here and have really profound issues. So when the executive order, stops all foreign aid, National Malaria Control Program in Uganda, aid for pregnant women and children, throughout. I understand the mentality, but certainly I understand the mentality. I don't always agree with the mentality. So certainly that's something that we need to keep an eye on as well. One of the things in Illinois, I know we talked all about nation, not much about Illinois. A couple of things for Illinois I'm just going to throw out to you. Those of you who are deer hunters, I particularly am not, but I know a lot of people are deer hunters. Deer harvest by hunters jumped more than 6%. Now, I'm not particularly a deer hunter, but I understand the process in which we need to ensure that there is a healthy ebb and flow with the deer population, or they would just all pretty much starve to death. A lot of the natural predators of deer have gone to the wayside, so hunters have come into the fray. So Illinois hunters harvest 10,445 more deer during the 2024-25 season than the 2023-24 season, about 6%. Mild weather with regards to that, and certainly more population that needed to be controlled. As you know, you have to have a hunting license, and the DNR really looks into make sure that one of the things that is hitting Illinois that we are looking at is the bird flu along Lake Michigan. So several hundred ducks were found dead from the suspected bird flu. This is the largest concentration that we found that Saturday at North Avenue Beach and Oak Street Beach. Other birds with symptoms were reported from Hyde Park to Wilmette between Friday and Sunday. So certainly, if you are in an area with a lot of birds, be on the look for symptoms of the bird flu. Call them in, DNR. It's very important that we get a handle on this situation. Now, those of you in downtown Chicago, the Thompson Center is going under a huge remap, and I went by it maybe a couple weeks ago. It's incredible. Google is searching for tenants in the revamped Thompson Center. So if you are a company or know of a company that wants to be in the Thompson Center, the CBRE leasing agents representing Google have been marketing 7 floors of the 17-story building for prospective users. So Google is 10 months into the overhaul of the $1.2 million square foot building, huge building, in partnership with Chicago-based real estate developer Prime Group. So certainly look into that. And then the Chicago Auto Show. If you are into cars like I am, just the Chicago Auto Show, Jeep is back and hybrids are hot. That's what they're talking about. So it's going to be at the McCormick Place once again. So certainly you can have a wonderful time looking at the auto show. So that's something that you might not know is right around the corner. That's it's always fun for the family. Now, if you're a hiker, Starved Rock received about $30 million in state funds for a lot of improvements. Thank goodness. Now, we do have separate pools of funding to go to, and so some funding for maintenance comes from a separate pool than our general revenue fund. So certainly we are going to do some renovations at Starved Rock. So if you love natural resources and you're looking for improvements in the area, then certainly the overall improvement is going to be about 60 million. It's going to improve 5 parks and historic sites, but 33.8 million is going to Starved Rock, consistently ranked Illinois' most popular state park. So so that's always something that, now that the season's going to be changing and hopefully according to Woodstock Willie, spring will be early. It's certainly going to be a good time to just explore nature and really get back in touch. So other than that, we are starting to post a lot of bills. There are quite a few bills that are going that are getting filed. Again, if you go on ilga.gov, not .com, but .gov, you will see a record number of bills that have been filed. Certainly, right now in the Senate, we are up to 1,497 bills filed in the Senate. In the House, we're up to 2,455 bills filed. In the House, we are talking about a deadline, which is going to be this Friday for filing. So we're going to see more bills being filed with regards to legislation. Now, just because something got filed certainly doesn't mean that it will turn into a law. Sometimes people file bills to start working on them. So really a big, it certainly is, it sounds like a big number, but certainly we are working on that as well. And then on the state level, like I said last week, there was a little bit of a, I call it, posturing that Indiana passed or is talking about bringing in bringing in some counties from Illinois that wanted to leave Illinois to join Indiana. So last year, a total of 33 counties voted to secede from Illinois. I talked about this last week. To form their own state. Indiana invited those to join Indiana. Governor Hudson even created a commission to study the possibility. So let's look at the prospect of Indiana picking up these 33 counties. Is it going to be good for Indiana? Would it be good for Illinois for those counties to move? Would it be good for the remaining 69 counties in Illinois? So according to the data, Indiana's per capita income, if adding those Illinois counties that want to leave, would go to Indiana, it would take their capital income. So they would cut Indiana's capital income enough to slide from 14th to 11th place from the bottom. Only 18.6 of the adults in these counties have completed college, while Illinois' total is 36.7. The new sectionist state would instantly be the least well-educated state and would be right about where the U.S. as a whole was in the late 1980s. So I'm not being any stereotypical about any county in Illinois, but there is data, and the data shows that that individuals in these counties maybe want to think twice about going to Indiana, and maybe Indiana would think twice. Now, we need to work on these counties. Don't get me wrong. We have a statewide broadband initiative that is bringing services to some of these more downstate counties, but Illinois is a big state, and certainly it's going to be an issue. One of the bills that was proposed in Illinois was a bill about school districts and what schools do when children are assaulted or sexually assaulted in school. What they found was in one issue, they didn't do much. In fact, the child, continued to go to school, and the allegations didn't seem to be taken more seriously. So Representative Davidsmeyer in my chamber and State Senator McCure, they have a bill that would require an immediate expulsion with regards to predators or individuals that are found to have sexually assaulted another student sexual assault. I think it's a very interesting bill. One of the questions I just have is I'm fine with immediately removing them from the school. Where would they go? Can't be sitting at home doing nothing. So I would like to see the legislation look at a second step on where they have to go with that. Real ID. Just to continue to talk about things on the state level, the Real ID appointments are filling up fast. So we're stepping up efforts to ensure that residents get the Real ID complaint identification prior to the May 2025 deadline. I've talked about this before. We extended it. It's here, May 2025 deadline. There are some concerns with the deadline arriving. Now, what does the Real ID mean? Certainly, you need a Real ID for travel, mostly. That's a federal government Real ID. If you have your driver's license, you can drive in the state. You can go throughout all the states you have. If you have a passport, you don't need a Real ID. You can use your passport when you travel. So there are options if you already have a passport to board a plane. If you have a passport card, you cannot use that on the plane. You can use that just to drive over the borders of Canada and Mexico. So there are other options to the Real ID. However, make note that the deadline to get a Real ID is May 2025 for flying. Now, if you don't make that deadline, that's okay if you have a passport and you are flying somewhere. If you are in need of a passport, on a quick basis, we've worked really close with Congressman Bill Foster's office, and Chicago has a port authority right here where you can get a passport if you are flying within a couple of days and you need a passport. Now, this technically would be a situation after May 2025. But certainly try to make your appointments. If you're gonna be traveling after May 2025 anywhere on a flight to any state, or certainly you need your real ID. So after May of 2025. So make sure you try to get it. If you're not traveling anytime after May, or you just use your passport, don't worry about it. Not a problem. But I just wanted to put that on your radar with regards to that deadline. We're not extending it. We've extended it many more, but certainly that is something to keep aware of. So other than that, we are going through, as I said, a bunch of bills. Certainly, we are looking at how our state could respond to the national government's turmoil and unpredictability. There was some reports that says state government has added 15,600 jobs from December 23 to December 24. It's technically not true. We had an increase of about 1,807 people. So not sure where that one article got their information from, but you can always double check information on the comptroller's website. There's a lot of information on there. The comptroller's website talked about a head count in December 2023 is 78,232 individuals. Head count in December 2024 was 80,139. So if you want to know how big the state is, about 80,000 employees work for the state of Illinois. Certainly, I do believe that we have a lot of openings and a lot of shortages, so we really need to look at that. And so, other than that, right now, like I said, we're just certainly looking to try and see what the federal government's doing. Day to day, it seems to change. And then we do not have any hearings, any committees scheduled for this week. We are in Springfield tomorrow. The Senate has had some committee hearings. They are a little bit further along than we are with regards to scheduled committees. And they do have quite a bit of a robust schedule next week, this week. At the Senate side. So the Senate is certainly doing a good job at scheduling committees. The House is a bit behind. So other than that, I hope that everybody has a great Monday, and we'll give you a more robust update with regards to Springfield matters next week. When we start seeing committees getting scheduled, hopefully, and bills starting to move to committees. After this deadline, we'll know some of the bills that are filed. I have some bills still in drafting form. Redrafted the Veterans Services Task Force. It expired. The task force expired last year in December. Hoping to renew that because the individuals on that task force really enjoyed working together and wanted to continue to do their work. And then redrafted mental health holistic bill for youth in care that would connect a youth in care with a mental health provider the minute that they get into our care, which means they're removed from their house. A really important subject with regards to that. Updating some benefits for veterans. When veterans get called up, reservists and our National Guardsmen get called up, what we are finding that so the employer is supposed to make sure that the individual's job is still there. There's a little bit of a differential sometimes that comes into work, but what we're finding is some employers are forcing our National Guardsmen and our reservists to take personal time off to do their drill obligations. That's not right. So cleaning up some of that language is on my docket, as well as still looking at pensions, making sure that and hopefully, going forward, keeping an eye on the budget. I'm on 2 budget committees, so certainly working with regards to that. Resolution with regards to the 250th birthday of the Marine Corps is coming up this year, 250 years old. And then refiling the 4 resolutions that unfortunately were not considered in the Senate, and to honor 4 POW MIAs in our area. We should never forget, we are certainly going through other channels with regards to being able to honor these MIW, POW individuals that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. We are going to honor them with street namings. However, I still just think it's respectful for the Senate to pick up these resolutions. So, in my opinion, the House will, I will file and pass these resolutions as many times as I need to, until the Senate takes note that we should honor all individuals, not just a few, but all individuals, especially those that gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So going to be refiling those resolutions again. And then just pretty much working to, I have a bill for universities and a couple of technical bills that do some wording. As I said before, not all bills that pass are actionable bills to the public. Some of them are technical bills that direct departments, and I have a bill working with the Department of Revenue to do just that, technical bill. So certainly happy to get any and all ideas. Our bill drafting deadline has passed. Now we have to file them all. As you can see, we have a lot of bills to go through. So I don't know how many more bills are going to pop up, but sometimes they do. But with that, I am off to Springfield. Tuesday, we uh, are supposed to be there at noon. So definitely we start at noon, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. So with that, have a great beginning to February. And then I'm going to try and find my Groundhog Day mug for next week. I know a little bit delayed, but it's still a really great mug, and the Paramount did a great show. So certainly happy to look into that. So take care. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.